this is Dodger and you're watching my show. To answer some of your questions about the new format, number one, I realize that it's very echoey right here. Jeannie is coming over to help me put up soundproofing tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. And also, I don't know where my lav mic is still. I bought that forever ago. Remember back at that one news episode where I was like, I bought a lav mic! It's not here, so I'm following up on that. We're gonna see what happened with that, because I would love for my sound to not feel as though I'm in a cave spelunking. Anyway, let's get into news. It hasn't been a super exciting week, I'm not gonna lie to you. But we've got a few things, so let's jump in. First off, we've got a couple of Valve-related news pieces. First one is that Valve is putting on Steam Dev Days, which is going to be a game developers conference the 15th through the 16th of January, happening in Seattle. Now, what sets this one apart from something like GDC, the actual game developers conference, is that this is an off-the-record event, which I found interesting. Essentially, what they're doing is they're like, look, everybody just come hang out in Seattle with us. There will be no media, there will be no press. This is going to be completely off the record, but one thing that I thought was interesting is that they are going to be archiving everything that goes on there. So it's not like you're going to be this developer going to a thing and you're sworn to secrecy and you have to sign a million pieces of paper saying you'll never tell anybody what happened there because it's off the record. But you know, they are recording all of the sessions. They want to make sure that if you weren't able to go, you can access all of those archives and be able to see what happened and how the sessions went, etc, etc, etc. It's $95 per person, so not the worst that I've ever heard of for a convention. If you're interested in registering to go, or better yet, if you would like to host a topic there, on their main website they have all of that info. They have a big fact page for all of the questions on how to be involved, and they've said that they're not even considering volunteer applications yet, so if that was your intention, check back later. Second piece of Valve news is we have a pretty decently sized video of the Steam controller being used with a variety of very different games. Now I'm gonna be honest, when I first saw the Steam controller, I was like, alright, this is a little different. It's a little interesting. I would be more interested in seeing how it's used, and obviously that was their intention as well, so they wound up creating a video. They play Civ 5, they play Papers, Please, they play Portal 2, like all of these very, very different games, and they explain how the controller can have different modes depending on how the game is played. So they were like pretty clear about the fact that you can play any Steam game with this controller, right? Because otherwise, like, why even bother? But what I was curious about was like, well, how do you trick these games into being okay with a controller? And really the way that they do it is they convince the game that the controller is a keyboard. So they were saying in the video that there are lots of different modes, lots of different ways that the controller will be laid out, and depending on the game, it'll be laid out in very different ways. So it's not going to be as intuitive as it would normally be using a controller. Like, for a lot of these games, I'm sure you're gonna wind up, you know, messing around with it and being like, oh, okay, so that button's jump, interesting. But I don't know, it's pretty cool. And the actual, like, the little like circle nonsenses that are going on there, they look like they make a lot of sense. They show you the game and the controller at the same time, so you see like how the mechanics are transferring and stuff. I don't know, I think it's cool. I'm happy with it, but I do wanna like play with it. So Valve, if you want me to be one of your 300 beta testers, I would not complain. And now allow me to convince you through seduction. So after getting a couple of teasers that got me really interested and really excited, so they did their job, we finally have a video of actual SOMA gameplay. It looks super sci-fi, robot horror-tastic, and there are a lot of parallels, at least through watching the video. It seems as though there are a lot of parallels between the mechanics in Amnesia and this game. And you know, like while you're walking around, you hear a lot of this. I think considering that a decent number of die-hard Amnesia fans were really disappointed in Machine for Pigs, it's good that they're sticking within a genre that they know very well and that they're very good at, which is horror, but putting it in a completely different world, and the motorcyclists agree. You know, Amnesia was like pretty magical, monster, fantastical, scary. And I like that this one's going to be, yo, robots, because robots are also scary. I'm also hoping for lots of Matrix crossovers. Like lots of things where you go, wow, that was inspired by Matrix. Ready? Oh no, the bookshelf's there! No! Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh man, I would have died. If I was Neo and there was a bullet coming for me, I would have died. Shoot. You can now pre-order Mojo by Mad Catz if you are so inclined. Mojo is an acronym that doesn't actually acronym to anything, and it is an Android-based game-playing machine, much like Ouya. From what I can tell, the two big things that set it apart are number one, you can utilize Google Play, and number two, the actual innards of the system are just much better. It also has a Bluetooth controller that you can switch between being an Android controller, a PC controller, or a mouse controller, which I'm assuming just means like PC is like a PC keyboard, I don't know. You can pre-order it for $249.99 and it comes out on December 10th, but I think that the big issue, honestly, is that there's so many of them now. Like, they're coming in on this whole kick pretty late, to me at least. A lot of people know what the Ouya is, even if they don't play it or use it. And there have been a lot of other things that have kind of followed in the footsteps, and Mojo has now come out. And I think, honestly, that the layman won't know the difference. Like, I mean, it's so much more expensive than an Ouya. So for somebody who doesn't really care that much about graphics or doesn't really understand the difference between different graphic types, I think that just saying, no, it's kind of like the Ouya. You can play pretty much the same games as you can play on an Ouya. And it's $99 if you buy an Ouya. Like, I feel like most people are gonna say, then why don't I just get an Ouya? Like, yeah, I mean, the controller is also probably way better, but I mean, most people don't use the Ouya controller anyway. They just use, you know, an input device and just split it and then use 360 controllers or PS3 controllers. Like, I mean, there's so many ways around that. I honestly feel like this isn't going to do that well when compared against the other options. Roger, why do you speculate so much? I don't understand what— you're supposed to be giving us the news, not your opinion. Deal with it. Speaking of which, this is funny how that turned out. I want to hear your opinion on a thing, on our next thing to discuss, because Beyond Two Souls and Wolf Among Us both came out this week. And both are very QTE heavy. Now, despite being QTE based, which a lot of people like to complain is playing toward the casual gamers instead of the hardcore gamers, blah, 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 they have done really well. Like, both of these games have received really good reviews. Now, the reason that I include this in our news episode today is because I was just thinking about it a lot. Like, we really love to complain about certain types of mechanics, even if when you get right down to it, it turns out that that's the best way to tell that sort of story. I mean, a bunch of us can complain as much as we want about how QTE games shouldn't be considered real games, but most of us consider point and click to be real games. And most of the time that requires way less twitch. It also just goes to show our reaction to it when we actually play it and we turn out to love it, is that we really crave that storytelling, like that excellent storytelling that most QTE games are starting to have. I know that for the most part it serves as like a bridge between casual and hardcore, but I think that it might be healthier in terms of the game community in general to just think of it as a different kind of mechanic. Let me know your opinions. I'm curious to know these things. As a final bit of news, any of you who were upset about GTA 5 last week, apparently they've made a lot of patches, they fixed a lot of things, but they realized that you guys are kind of upset, wasted a lot of time, wasted a lot of money, and also the economy is still pretty broken. To make up for this, every GTA 5 online player will be receiving $500,000 in online cash. $500,000. Obviously, this is to counteract the economy issue, because a lot of people have said, you know, the jobs that I can take in the game just don't give me enough money to actually do things in the game, like the circularness is just not there. So Rockstar's like, here you go, we got you this, and then hopefully you'll be able to stimulate the economy and make it so that things work out a bit more and create the community a bit better. But also, obviously, I think we can all agree that this money is a sorry that a bunch of your characters got completely deleted and a bunch of money disappeared. What, huh? I mean, I don't think that it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that like, when we caught you, Rockstar. I think that it's good that they're doing this, not only for the game, but also for the players. But I'm interested to see whether or not, once people have spent a bunch of that money, it is still helping at all. Cause like, you got 500 grand. Like, a bunch of people are just gonna not take jobs for a while. Like, that doesn't stimulate the economy of GTA Online. Oh well, whatever. Now be honest. Do you want to see a kitten? There you are, look at this precious face. She was asleep on my chair. I hope you're happy I woke her up for you.
You want to say our outro today? Do you want to say the outro? Okay, thanks so much for watching our show. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in the comments section. If you want to have coffee with us, you can click wherever she puts the annotation to take you to our other channel. But otherwise, hope you had an amazing week, and we'll talk to you again next Saturday.
You did so well, except for the beginning. The beginning was a little bit different, but I'll cut you some slack because you're new to the family. Okay, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.